What is color? The answer to that is actually surprisingly simple. Color is basically just light. So if we have a white light source, for instance, and we pass it through a prism, that light gets dispersed and we end up with a spectrum of light. We get the colors of the rainbow. Each one of the colors of the rainbow corresponds to a different wavelength of light. So what does that mean? How do we get different colors? I've got Pantone 7548 here. It's a lovely shade of yellow. So the question is, why do we see this shade of yellow? What happens is that same white light that's being dispersed through that prism and it's creating this whole spectrum, that light is hitting this card. But instead of all of those colors dispersing or all of them reflecting back, this wavelength of light, just this wavelength, this yellow, is bouncing back, it's going into our eyes, and that is the color we're seeing. The rest of the wavelengths of light are being absorbed and we don't see them. So if I flip this over, we've got white. It's really light gray, but we'll call it white. What happens here is all of those colors in that spectrum are bouncing back and they're hitting your eye. And the opposite is true. So if we have a black shirt, for instance, the light is coming in, all of the color is being absorbed, and we're not getting any color back in our eye. In addition to the visual aspect of color, color also has a psychological component. When you have certain colors and you put them together, they can act in harmony, and this makes your eye happy, it makes your brain happy. We also have an emotional reaction to certain colors. So some colors can actually make you feel a certain way. Red can make your heartbeat faster, and blue can make it slower. As photographers, I think we have been pretty well trained to constantly be observing lighting conditions in our environment. From the minute you wake up, you are assessing what the lighting situation is. Is it soft light? Is it hard light? We can do the same thing for color. So once you start training yourself to see color, then you can start really applying it to your own work. And at first, it'll be a conscious process, and you'll have to think a lot about it. But eventually, it'll become second nature, and your work's going to become great, and you're not even going to have to think about it. Blue has become synonymous with those in service or industry. Blue collar refers to those working in the trades. We associate blue with trust and faithfulness, as we depend on those in uniform for protection and reliability. Blue derives much of its psychological impact from associations with the natural environment. It has a power to denote space and distance and to create the illusion of volume like skies and seas. Because of this, it's also associated with solitude, remoteness, and tranquility. In religious art, the Virgin Mary is often depicted in blue, representing her role as an intermediary between humanity and the celestial heavens above. Blue's remote properties, however, also translate to feelings of melancholy and isolation. Picasso championed the literal use of blue as a metaphor for despair and resignation. Blue also often represents coolness or coldness. We actually feel colder in blue rooms. Much as pink became the symbol of femininity, blue has traditionally been considered a color of the masculine since the mid-20th century.